Frank Klose
in Reading right now?
Working in Reading right now, and he joins us on the Sports Bash with the Phillies. A new thing this year, Frank. They're going to play a couple of Futures games. I think that's pretty neat. The question is, which team's more interesting to watch, the Phillies or the Futures?
Well, I would say with the Futures right now. Lots of excitement here. A lot of the fans here in Reading, they got to see a lot of these players last year, and a lot of them will be moving on to AAA. And certainly Reading was in the championship. They lost in the championship, but it was a great team to watch here in Reading last year, and I think the fans are excited to see them back, and they're really excited to see some former Reading Phillies, Reading Titans, back here in town. Looks like Darren Ruff and Freddie Galvis in particular are having a blast.
So, Frank, the Phillies are up north now. The Grapefruit League portion of their schedule is over. What are some of the questions they still have to have answered between now and April 4th?
Well, we should probably know is really today kind of how the bullpen will play out. As of right now, I haven't heard yet what the Phillies' decision was on Ernesto Frieri. The Phillies' bullpen is the one thing that really seems to be left to be decided. They have Fred Oberholzer is a definite, and he'll probably be the long man. He's also left-handed, but they're probably not going to count him as one of their lefties. It looks like James Russell and Daniel Stumpf are going to be the other two lefties in the bullpen, which means that leaves room for four righties. Jeanmar Gomez is going to start tonight's game. He's a lock. David Hernandez, who has a major league contract, is a lock. And then the last two spots, we need to wait and see what happens with Frieri to find out if he is one of those spots. It could come down to Frieri or Bailey. I think Dalier Hinojosa is one of the other remaining two. He seems to have pitched pretty well. He pitched really well last year. And as of today, we'll have to find out if the Phillies are going to add Frieri to the roster. And if he does, that probably means that Andrew Bailey, who has a May 1st opt-out, heads to AAA.
All right, Frank. And we know Bailey gave up a run, 3 hits the other day. So he had pitched well early in the Grapefruit League, but seems like down the stretch here, if he's trying to make his case, he didn't really put a big stamp on that yet. So it would be sad to see him go because he is a guy who had a lot of talent, and I know a lot of arm problems and injuries have derailed him, but he would have been a nice story.
Well, I don't think the story is over, even if he doesn't make this team. He's got till May 1st before he can choose to opt out. And even then, he might not opt to choose to opt out of his contract because it'll give him some time to go down to the minor league, pitch with a little bit more consistency, and who knows, by then maybe he does sit on the Phillies roster.
Frank Klose with us here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN FM. Frank, is the outfield set yet? Because I know there were some question marks there.
Well, it looks like you'll have the three starters will be some of Tyler Goodell. He could be in a platoon with Will Venable. So you have, I think Venable's a lock, even though he wasn't signed to a major league deal. It just gives them some time to order their roster. You'll have a combination of Goodell and Venable, probably in left field. You have Peter Borges in right field, Odubel Herrera in center. And then the last spot could come down to whether or not the Phillies take Manny Burris as a super utility type, or they take Cedric Hunter. Pete Buchanan seems to like Cedric Hunter, but he also seems to like what Burris can bring to the table too. So we already ruled out Darnell Sweeney because he was already optioned down. So there's one bench spot really, and it might be my best guess at this point is Burris has the edge, is because he can play infield, he can play outfield, he can switch hit. Whereas Hunter, you're basically just getting a left-handed outfield bat.
Any indication, Frank, on what the batting lineup might look like this season?
Well, it kind of lines up that Cesar Hernandez, who had a tremendous spring. He probably is the leadoff hitter based on what we've seen in recent days. Then I think you're going to see Odubel Herrera bat second, Maikel Franco third, and whoever's playing first base, whether it be Ruff or Howard, probably bats cleanup. After that, maybe, hard to say, maybe Cameron Rupp will bat next. You'll probably see Freddie, some combination of Freddie Galvis or Tyler Goodell batting 7 and 8, however they want to do that. But it depends on who's playing the particular day of the week, even, or whether they're facing a lefty or righty.
Frank Klose in Reading tonight. Give us a little talk about the Reading guys, because there's going to be a lot of guys that I think Philly fans will keep their, or this Futures team. The game is in Reading. There's a lot of guys that are going to play in this game tonight that we're probably going to be clamoring for at some point. So who are some of the guys that you're going to be watching closely tonight?
Well, the lineup kind of has a hint of the future with the top three. You're going to see Roman Quinn lead off. You're going to see J.P. Crawford bat second, and Nick Williams bat third. The three of them probably could end up in AAA to start the season. They haven't really made those decisions yet, but the three of them could be a nice little 1-2-3 punch that we could see down the line. Bryce Hoskins will be playing first base. He's somebody worth looking at, and Scott Kingery is really the one second base prospect that the Phillies have in their system, so we'll get a chance to look at him. So tonight is probably going to be a mix of AA and AAA's lineup going forward. But when you look at it and you look at what they project to be, even that in itself could be a nice lineup. And then once you combine it with the like Maikel Franco, it could be pretty interesting.
Yeah, and Jake Thompson going to pitch in the other Futures game. The Phillies are going with like a bullpen game today, correct? And then Morton will face Thompson in that other Futures game. That's not tomorrow. That's 2 days from now, right?
Yeah, I think right now they're just trying to see as many of the bullpen arms as they can. Yesterday was a bullpen game, and they seemed to pitch Hernandez and everybody else who was competing for the final spots. So I think that's what they really want to focus on, is who's going to make the team. I mean, if they had gone by what the rotation order was, we could have seen Aaron Nola tonight, which would have been kind of cool for the Reading fans who got to see him pitch last year. But right now, I think as they make their final decisions, that's going to be what drives the next few days.
Nola's pitching in the game against Baltimore, correct, tomorrow?
Right. He could have lined up today.
So the rotation slots out as Hellickson, Nola, Morton, or Hellickson, Morton, Nola?
I think Nola will be second. I mean, they haven't announced anything formally, but that's the way it seems to be lining up.
All right, Frank Klose is in Reading tonight, where the Phillies will play the Futures. They're back from Clearwater with just a couple of more tune-ups before they open up the regular season on Monday against the Cincinnati Reds. That will be Jeremy Hellickson getting the opening day start in that game. And I guess I'll ask you about Ryan Howard. I guess he'll start on opening day, right? Is Howard going to be in that opening day lineup?
I honestly have to check and see who the Reds are going to pitch.
You think it's going to match? You don't think they'll give him the courtesy of just letting him play that first day, or do you think it will be a strict platoon?
We'll see. I tend to think that they'll give him that courtesy you mentioned and maybe start him no matter what, but you never know. I mean, Pete Mackanin said, and General Manager Matt Klentak both said they're not here to throw games. They're going to try to win. So we'll see. If they think that Darren Ruff's a better matchup, well, maybe they'll put him in opening day. But I haven't really seen how the Reds rotation is lined up. I mean, they don't exactly have a clearly defined number one starter to face the Phillies. So we'll have to see who gets that nod for them.
All right, Frank Klose, enjoy the game tonight. It's the Phillies against the future Phils up in Reading. Tomorrow against the Baltimore Orioles, and then one final game against this Futures team. Tonight it will be the bullpen game for the Phillies. Nola tomorrow, Morton in the final game, followed by Hellickson to start the season against the Cincinnati Reds. Opening day almost here. All right, Frank, appreciate it, pal.
Thanks, guys.